I've recently bought a new tiny tank to do more strong stuff. It needs a cool name.
I'll get you a name before the end of this session. Okay, Jack, so one of the things that we're actually quite our weird little niche on the channel is can art and beer names. Baron are a personal favourite of mine, and I've definitely, when I've had your bruiser box before, going through those, just some of the names, they've always turned a smile, and the artwork as well is, it's quite grabbing. I think if you see it in the bottle shops and stuff, it's one of those where I think people will gravitate towards that.
Yeah, good.
Tell us a bit about the designs of your cans.
Well, the designs, originally, when I was trying to come up with the brand, that was the hardest bit, is trying to create a sort of an image that can carry across the whole range. I'm very lucky to have friends who are all very creative. And when there was nothing in this room at all, it was just an empty white room, I got a group of them down and we created a brand. Two of them are the artists who do the artwork, but there have been about 10 different people who
Oh, wow.
do the designs.
I would assume that it was kind of like a designer perhaps that you keep, like a freelance, just a single one that kind of...
They certainly have a sort of a look. That was decided by Max and Harry Wilde, really, who are brothers, who are my sort of oldest friends. And they both illustrators, and they have a very nice, young, free sort of look about their artwork. And I never tell them what to design, because they're much better at it than I am. So I just give them a list of silly names. I normally send them a list of like 5 or 6 stupid names, and they will pick 1 or 2 or none of them and do whatever they want and then send it back to me. I send a colour palette at the beginning if I'm talking to a new artist, so they know that there's a rough colour palette to work with, and they know it's going to be on a white can label, and they know it's going to be on a tool can. So they have all these things to work with, and then they are completely at their own freedom. As long as it's not offensive or it's directly copying another beer, then it's pretty much fair game. At least that's what I try and...
No, yeah, I mean, just looking through these now. It is great, because as you've said there, you use about 10 different people over the period that you've been going. But I suppose it's all about kind of building that overarching brand that kind of says, a designer can come in and do an artwork or a design, but there's some basic steps to follow with regards to either whether that's the colours or just the artwork style.
I try and make sure, if it's someone who's... I quite often get messages from artists saying we'd like to do a design, and if they have a similar style and it looks like it would fit the brand, then fantastic. But sometimes it's just, it's not quite right. But yeah, I'm very lucky that it started off in such a sort of, it had a look really early on.
As I say, we're just off camera, we're just looking up at your candelier.
Candelier,
yeah. Which is...
but yeah, that was the first 50 or so designs. And yeah, you're right, it's just, it's getting the drinker to think, oh yeah, that's a Baron beer from a distance, because when you've got 100 beers in the bottle shop to choose from, they help by being an inch taller than every other can because they're 500 mils almost.
Yeah, this is the other thing, I suppose, when we're coming into packaging, it's no accident that you're putting these in 500 ml cans rather than 440s.
No, it's all sort of, people ask why that is, whether it's like for a particular reason. It was just because me and the artists originally liked the look of the tall cans more. Yeah. And I thought it'd be a bit more unique. And it has that little bit above, a little bit of, USP.
So you're not quite arbor levels, you know, you could always extend out to the 5, 6, 8 pint can.
I think they'd be furious if anyone went for the pint cans. No, I think, yeah, that is bold, particularly when you're selling like 8% beers in a pint. That is, yeah, but 500 is still, I think it's still unusual enough. But there are other breweries that use them. I think Nothing Band use 500s, don't they?
Yeah, Nothing Band 500s. I think it adds so much. I mean, obviously, from your perspective, you're obviously putting more liquid into it, but with regards to the real estate that it kind of takes on the shelf, it kind of dominates it a little bit more. You're standing out. And from a drinker perspective, it's added value. And I get this with a lot of friends that I take into bottle shops or whatever. Like, it's a tough sell for ones that don't drink craft beer religiously. Yeah. It's a tough sell to make people part with £5 a can.
Yeah.
And for some people, just seeing that extra bit in there, seeing that.
Yeah, it makes a little difference. It's just once you've gone down one route, you sort of have to stick a bit anyway. I think it just looks nice.
So you said you start with the silly beer names. Now, obviously, looking here, I'm going to pick you up on some of these. I want to come to this one in a bit because that sounds absolutely mental. Jack in the Box, I'm assuming that there's something to do with you there.
Yeah, that's not my name. Well, it wasn't my decision. Yeah, that was brewed with a local place called the Hot Box, and they were like, "Well, we're the Hot Box, you're Jack, so Jack in the Box makes sense." And I was quite resistant to calling it Jack in the Box originally, but I think fine. And I'm on that can as well. Harry drew me in. I used to have much curlier hair than I do now. The big nose is still there. Yeah. There's been a few stupid names, like General Dog's Body. Alex, who you just met, he's a friend of mine, and I asked him what he did at his old job, and he said he was just a general dog's body. So I thought, that will do. That's fine. That's perfect.
It's funny actually how this kind of ties in with our latest podcast, where we kind of have, me and Paul have kind of just, we hear things or we say things that ends up just going on this list. If we brewed, we'd have
the best names.
We'd have
New
Hen's Teeth.
I've got some if you want to buy some off us.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll come back to that. New Hen's Teeth. Am I right in saying there was already Hen's Teeth before that?
Yeah. Yeah, Hen's Teeth was one of the first double IPAs. I think it was the most well sort of received double IPA I did last year. And I got a lot of people saying, "Oh, please do Hen's Teeth again." So I did New Hen's Teeth. So it's not actually as rare as it sounds like it should be called Hen's Teeth.
Yeah. One of the others which has always stood out for me, which you released late last year, Still No Cat, Chris.
That's a really sensible name. I don't know what you're on about. The first beer I ever did was called No Cat Chris.
Oh, okay. That was the first ever beer you did?
First ever beer. And that was for a guy who used to live on the farm called Chris, who didn't have a cat. And he was just known as No Cat Chris. Although it's a longer story than that, but we found a dead cat, and it was none of ours. No one who lived on the farm had a cat that had died. And he was the only possible person who could have, and he wasn't allowed to have a cat in his tenancy. So he was like upset that this dead cat was there, but he also couldn't pretend that he had a cat. He couldn't say he had a cat. So he was known as sort of No Cat Chris, Chris who doesn't have a cat. And when I started brewing, I was like absolutely petrified of calling a beer how do you come up with a name for a beer? So I just thought, No Cat Chris, that'll do.
Wow,
joke.
That took a dark turn.
And now, still No Cat Chris was a repeat a year on.
Got you, okay.
He's still not got a cat.
And I suppose following on the theme of slayed animals, Goat Slayer I think is one of yours as well.
Goat Slayer.
So
There's a guy who lives at the other end of the farm called the Goat Slayer.
Oh, okay.
And he just kills goats and stuff. It's not like, it sounded like it was a name for, I think people thought I was trying to attack people who were the goats, the greatest of all time. So I thought, I got quite a lot of heat for the name.
Oh, really? Yeah.
But no, it's just a guy who lives up the hill called the Goat Slayer.
So have you had any that have upset anyone?
No names that I've got real backlash. Some that I'm a bit nervous of, and I've had it's really hard. You release a new beer every week or so, and you'll do a name that you accidentally tread on someone else's toes or have a risky-looking design, and it's something to keep in mind. But haven't had any issue with that.
Hold on, I just forgot. Knitted Baby.
Yeah, Knitted Baby is a stupid name.
What fresh hell is that?
Knitted Baby is. There was a guy I grew up with whose mum, when you're a baby, you're normally dressed in just like a onesie or kids, baby clothes.
Yeah.
And
like a grow.
And his mum would knit him everything. He looked like a cartoon child. He had a knitted bonnet and knitted cardigan. He was like a tiny baby. I don't remember this because I was a baby as well. My mum has photos of this. And this tiny knitted baby, and he was known as the Knitted Baby. He didn't know this until about 2 weeks ago, and he found out when we were talking about this. And so yeah, you got a beer named after you now. And he's like, what are you on about? I was like, yeah, Knitted Baby. How's that named after me? And he got told the story. He had no idea. It happens to be. I think that's the best beer I've made.
So we're going to have to try that one. You've got that one on tap at the moment, so we're going to have to try that one next.
Can I ask? What's the story behind the name Trouser Sausage?
Trouser sausage. I haven't done a beer.
Oh, is that not one of yours?
I think that's one of.
Is that one of your silly
Are you
beers?
trying to sell our beers?
Trouser sausage is a very good name.
£20 a name. That's what we're asking. We've got some more if you want
So
to.
you don't have to have trouser sausage. You can
See what you think about this, and obviously don't laugh at them because this is serious. Toilet German.
Toilet
German.
German.
Toilet German.
That's got a story for sure.
It has.
I bet.
Tune into our podcast to find out more. Redemption crab.
Oh, redemption crab's good. That is a good.
You'd buy that one.
I would buy that on a shelf.
Yeah.
Redemption crab.
Illicit biscuit cartel. Oh.
Oof. That's strong. You should be really sharp. You should do your own beer.
And bowel obstructor.
Bowel obstructor.
That falls along the. That falls on the bum theme beers, doesn't it?
Oh, and yeah, the classic bum egg.
You want to buy bum egg?
I'll buy bum egg.
Bum eggs. Bum eggs brilliant. If bum egg's not been done,
Can we call your tiny little tank bum egg?
that might have to be cool. Yeah, that could be the bum egg.
I'd
Bum
love,
eggs.
I'd love to see what your designers do with that one.
I'd see. That sounds like a name I would put on my list, and they would say, I'm not doing anything with those. That's too far.
Well, Jack, thanks for having us. This has been glorious. And yeah, we're going to drink some beer now, get some bum egg on the go.
Get a bit of bum egg. Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you. Cheers.
This week on the Fantasy Beer Name Podcast.
Well, then we got word, didn't we, that we might have some celebrities turning up.
Got to the summer house and it was full of kids.
Oh my God, what's wrong with you? This is not the way you start a podcast.
How do you get married to the richest man in the world twice?
You're the filling in their sandwich.
I'm the age stick. Yeah, I remember those pictures. Oh, harrowing.
I think you do.
Episode 2, there was a cat. Now we've got a dog.
That's just eliminated about 1 million people from our...
Yeah. Let's talk about it. People need to know what's in there. Is there fluoride in your beer?